All right, welcome back, everybody. On today's episode, we're going to work on hooking these cards up. So we're going to do multiple plans. So at the moment, we have everything just hooked up into the startup product. We click buy now on any of these. It's actually going to try to charge us the $32 a month. So as you can see here in our product catalog and the Stripe dashboard, we only have startup. And this is going to be where a lot of the changes occur. So we're going to look at tiers, and you can see here we have, freelancer, startup, and enterprise. And in our pricing section component, this is actually how we're iterating and creating this UI of the three. But if we then go here and we remember in tiers, sorry, in our use Stripe hook, we have this price lookup key. And so this price lookup key to your startup monthly is connected to this particular product. If you look at startups, sorry, if you go to edit price, you'll see here tier startup monthly. And so that's hooking into this lookup key. So we're going to actually, what we want to do is manage this here. So I'm actually going to replace my startup, the ID here, with the lookup key, tier startup monthly. We're going to do the same for tier freelancer as well as tier enterprise. And the reason we're doing monthly here is because eventually we're going to also have yearly plans, and we're going to have a unique ID for those plans as well. So I find this as a explicit way of differentiating between the two. So let's go back to our product catalog, and we're going to now replicate this startup, but we're going to do it for freelancer. So we want all of this information. So we're going to do freelancer. Recurring is going to be $24. And then more pricing options. We're going to go into lookup key, and we're going to take this ID. It's your freelancer monthly. I just want to reiterate that all of this information is entirely up to you. You can customize it however you want. The amount of money, the names, the IDs, etc. I think what's important is just the way we're hooking these IDs up and interacting with them from our product or our client. Okay, now I have the three products here: enterprise, freelancer, startup. Now I want to adjust my checkout function. So again, we have this price lookup key inlined, so it's always doing our startup tier. I'm gonna instead move this into a function parameter, lookup key of type string. We're gonna pass this here. Now let's go into our pricing section component, and here in checkout, it wants our lookup key. So we're actually gonna also take a lookup key in our handle by now function. We're gonna pass that into our checkout. Now, let's find where handle by now is occurring. We're going to add parameter here. And remember, the lookup key that we want is in our usestripe tiers ID parameter. Now, when we click on, for example, freelancer, we should expect subscribe freelancer, $24 a month. And just one more, startup, yeah, works. And enterprise, great. So let's just be an enterprise user. So if we click buy now, fill out the form information, we're going to see in our database that we are in fact subscribed. So this is great. And if we go into our transactions, we'll see that we did successfully accept the $48. And if we click into it, we should see somewhere uh, that, yeah, this is an enterprise subscription. But but at the moment, we aren't actually, all we're maintaining is subscribed or is not subscribed. We're not holding on to these individual like tiers or these plans within our database. And so we have no way of like providing new functionality based on the plan that they purchased or the product that they purchased. So the where we're going to change this is actually in our database schema. Let's go to schema.prisma. And my solution is to add a plan, uh, a plan value or column in our account table. So I created a default and I say tier is free. So you might be wondering why I use is subscribed versus plan. Like, why not just have everything in plan? Is because I think it's handy to have additional pieces of data here. For example, imagine the user previously had a plan of like enterprise, but their subscription ends. We might want to use that value to recommend like, hey, come back as an enterprise user and we'll give you 50% off, something of that matter. Which it doesn't really hurt to hold on to this additional data, so I just wanted to clarify that. So now let's just run npx prisma generate, npx prisma migrate dev, and we'll just say plan column. So our database should be good. Now let's go to our auth callbacks, and we're actually going to want to add this to our callback so that we can get this information on the client. So I'm going to just take it from the accounts table plan, just like we're doing with is subscribed. And I'm also going to do a default here, just in case the user doesn't have an email for whatever reason, we don't have a proper plan query or account query occurring. I'm just going to make sure it's a free tier. So the last thing we want to do is actually we need to edit our created webhook because at the moment we're just updating it with the subscriptions customer. We're also going to want to get the plan from this event as well. We're going to do stripe event dot data dot object dot items dot data sub zero dot price dot lookup key. Also, I forgot. Let's just create a plan variable here, and then we're going to do plan. So we're going to update the account with this plan value that's returned. One more thing in the webhook. Let's imagine a user is on a startup plan and they eventually want to upgrade to an enterprise plan. So that's going to require a new webhook. So at the moment, we're just managing created and deleted. Let's create another case here. And we're going to want one called updated. And so updated is actually going to look, I think, identical to created. The only difference is we're not going to change the subscribed value. So we're listening to the webhook on our webhook endpoint, but we actually aren't listening to it in our striped webhooks. So make sure to go back to the dashboard, developer, webhook, click on the webhook you're working with, and see here it's listening for two events. So right now it's only listening to the created and deleted. We want to update this to also listen to subscriptions.updated. Oh, subscription.updated. Now let's quickly upgrade our auth typing so that we can get our plan. And now everything should be in place. If we go back to our Nuxt or Prisma Studio, we go to account, we should see a plan. Oh, you know what it is? Make sure, I think you have to restart your Prisma Studio. Yes, there we go. Okay, now we have tier enterprise monthly clicked in. So that's great. If we manage subscription, we can navigate to that any way we want, but let's just do the off menu. So at the moment, you can see that the only option here is to cancel, but we actually want to give our users the ability to swap between plans. So again, for the goal here is to be able to go from like a startup to enterprise, vice versa. And so to do that, you actually want to go back to your Stripe dashboard. Come here to the bottom left, there's billing. No, actually search for customer portal. Click here, and then our subscriptions, we want to give the customers the ability to switch plans. And I just say freelance startup. Now, let's see if I can refresh my billing portal. You see here, we have update plan. So we click update plan and we actually go from enterprise down to freelancer, continue. This should now in our database, if I refresh, swaps it to a freelancer plan. So again, I just think this is a powerful feature, just a way to get people to upgrade to manage their subscription. Okay, and there you have it. We now have multiple billing plans, multiple products. So now we have enterprise, freelancer, and startup all working and in place. Hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.